I get into today, that song for me is so emotional. My auntie many years ago was in hospital, and the carolers came round, and this was the day before she died, and that was the song that she asked for. And so every time I hear it, I think of her, and I know each of us has memories whenever we hear anything across Christmas. What I do know this morning is that my memories fill me with a joyful sadness, if that makes sense. Joyful because I know that I am loved unconditionally. And a sadness because there are so many that are not with us that can share that moment in presence. And so I just feel called to say that if there are people that you have not told that you love lately, if there are people that you keep meaning to ring and you haven't quite gotten there, or there are people you want to write a card to, or whatever, don't wait till tomorrow, because sometimes tomorrow doesn't come. Share that love each and every moment, because when you share that love, you touch the lives of other people. And so, here we are. We're in Advent, week 2. And our theme, we've been celebrating 300 years of the carol, Joy to the World. And we use some of the lines from the carol as our theme each week during Advent. And this week is our Songs Employed. And the theme is love. And I guess when you say our songs employ, I have a thing in my head. That when our songs employ the love of God, it will be the sweetest sound for anyone to hear. Well, I've heard choirs, and it's not always sweet. In fact, sometimes it's so horrible, it's an absolute assault on my ears. But that's because of my expectations. That actually when our songs employ the love of God, God hears them as the sweetest sound ever. And so I need to put aside my desire for every note to be in tune and on time, crisp and articulate, and allow God to speak to me through others, out of key, out of time notes. And I just briefly want to share with you, I ran a music group, I ran 2 when I was in England, many years ago. And Keynotes was the choir that sang in tune. They were the choir that sang every note in tune because I made them. I beat them. And then Duff Notes was for the people that felt that they couldn't sing and couldn't hold a tune. And they'd come together and make a joyful noise unto God. Not me, but unto God every single week. And they sang with such passion and with such power that you couldn't help but love it. They could never keep in tune. The tambourine was never in time. They sang with their hearts to God, with so much love for God, and this place that they could meet and sing gave them so much joy. For one service, and one service only was I going through this stress, for one service they were going to perform a song. And you know, I was worried. I prayed a lot. And we came to the time of the service, they stood up and they stood there with the pride of a new mother. This is their baby that they want to give to the congregation. And do you know, for that one song, well, we did it once, for that one song, every single note was in tune. Oh, I have no idea how. It was God. It was them as well. It was God singing through them, but every single note was in tune. The tambourine was in time. And apart from the fact that I was bawling my eyes out with just such joy, it is a reminder to me that our sweetest songs employ love. That is what tells the world of the joy of God's love in our hearts. And our lives are supposed to be about reflecting love. You know, we see a lot of memes. If you're on Facebook, you know, some of you aren't, but if you're on Facebook, the memes are like a picture with words on them. And you quite often see little memes of like the different animals together. Like, what was the one we watched the other day? Like a dog and a horse, and little goats and pigs, and all these animals together. And they don't seem to care that they look different. They just care that they can love each other. Human beings, we're a little bit more ugly than that. Quite often we see the ugliness through things that people write, through things that people do. And when we do that, it is so unloving. It is so hard when you hear that first reading and it talks about the wolf and the lamb and the sheep and the snake in the baby in the viper's nest. I love that one. Many of you may have heard by now, a little snake came to visit us yesterday when we were decorating the church. And bless him, Jonathan was like, oh sweet Jesus, there's a snake in the church. And you know our fear around snakes. Our fear around snakes says that we would not have a baby with a snake. But this message that comes from this first reading says that actually, that if we love each other, then we will be with each other in community. So love has 4 letters. The first letter is L. So I thought, what can we do to make people try and remember about love? And so the first one is let. Let other people be who they are instead of trying to change them. Yes. How many of us have heard other people tell us that we need to be something different than we are? Most of us. Did you like it? I know you didn't like it. I would hazard a guess that most of you have done that to somebody else. Now you may not remember a time that you've done it, but I think there's probably a time in most of our lives where we have tried to get somebody else to conform to the way we want them to be, because it's much easier to be in community with people that think and do the same thing as you. So basically you all need to be drinking decaf coffee and eating English Cadbury's chocolate, because that's what I do. And when people say they don't like chocolate, the first thing I say is, what's the matter with you? But actually, what a joy that you don't eat chocolate. What a joy that you, yeah, because there's more for me. But it's important that we have to allow, to let people be themselves and do what they need to do for their spiritual journey. The O, open-minded. You know, Jesus was our best example of this. He took the whole story of someone and allowed them to tell them where they were at. There are t-shirts for sale up the top, and I know Natalie's got hers on. I've got one at home. It's fantastic. Judge not. You see, sometimes when we meet people, we judge them. We are not open-minded about who they are, or what they do, or what they believe. We just make assumptions. Because we are so close-minded about things that are different to us. When we stop judging and become open-minded, we become a lot more like God. And the Spirit can move through us. That's the difference of the Christmas trees that we have. You know, we may want order in our Christmas tree, but somebody else may find beauty in placing their little ornament on a tree. It's so important for us to be open-minded. When I met with Sophia and Shanti, they were so open-minded about Maya. The way that she grows up and her spiritual journey, they just want to be sure that they encourage her in that journey, whatever journey that is. You know, and sometimes it's a little easier for us to do it with a baby who can't answer back than it is with each other. Our next one is V. I know she's on. Bless her heart. stopped oohing over my Abby. I want to encourage us to venture out of our comfort zones. You know, one of the things that Jesus did was go around and meet everybody where they were at. Now, I've preached on leprosy before now, but when people have leprosy, everybody ignores them. Everybody puts them on an island, doesn't talk to them, doesn't touch them. And what did Jesus do? He went up and he held them. He held them close. We have to venture out of our comfort zones and step into the shoes of others. You know, the quiet person that sits in church is in their quiet little zone. And maybe they could be encouraged to speak to one person. Maybe the person that is so loud and enthusiastic about everything could be encouraged to be quiet around the quiet person. We all have our own comfort zones, and it's important to step out of them. And lastly is empathize. We cannot ever know what anybody else is going through. There are people in this room that have gone through incredible journeys. But what we can do is sit with them. We can listen. We can hear their stories and share with them the feelings around those stories. In order for us to love, there are many things that we need to do. These are just 4. And I hope that they will encourage you a little in learning how to love the neighbor who is different to you. I want to finish this section with a quote from Colin Chalfant, who said, "Love is a beautiful thing, but hard. The only way to make sure you're happy is to love and care for others, even when they don't do the same. Spread love in the ways you know how, because the love you give is its own reward. The love you give is its own reward." I want to introduce you to Natalie Davis Douglas from Judge Not. Really, come on! Did I first meet you at the Women's Leadership?
Yes.
I thought it was. There was a women's leadership program that is empowering women to be leaders in our community. And Robin was one of the facilitators of that, and I went several times during it, and there's several women here that went through that program. And most of the women that went through this program were extremely quiet when they started, had no self-confidence, most I said, had no self-confidence, and yet this program empowered them to be leaders. And so in that leadership, I invite Natalie to share with us.
Amen. Blessings on you. Giving honor to God, who is my life, is head of my life. Giving honor to the pastor of the house, Pastor Catherine, and my bishop in his absence, Bishop Stokes. And I just thank God for you guys allowing us to have us this morning as we go into ending the stigma of HIV. Because so many times we don't understand when it comes to HIV and how to love, because our topic on this morning is love. And how many of us know that God is loved? And that's one thing that I do understand, that God is love and love is God. And you know, as I began my journey of life, and I came into a situation when it wasn't a situation, it was who I choose to love. And my grandmother told me, she said, you know, it was that thing that we call in the closet, right? So she said, if you're afraid of what you're doing, then that means that you don't need to do it. So I say, okay, so if I'm going to be embarrassed of who I choose to love, then that means that I don't need to do it, because I choose to love another woman. You understand what I'm saying? So with that understanding, when I became positive and I was diagnosed, I say I don't need to be embarrassed of who I am because of my diagnosis. That was something that my grandmother instilled in me, because I was positive. I don't need to be embarrassed of who I am. And she taught me, you don't need to be embarrassed of who you love. And it was a scripture that I'm reminded of because, like I said earlier, I was raised by my grandmother. And I wasn't raised by my mother. And I had so much anger in my heart towards my mother. I did not know how to love my mother. And it was that thing like Moses in the Bible, where he felt abandoned and where he felt rejected. And the scripture that God had gave me was, love and kindness have I drawn you. And that's what we have to do in this society. We have to understand how to love one another because we have different things and because we choose to love differently because of illness or diagnosis. A lot of people like to look at HIV as if you're sick and you're nasty. Why can't we look at it as if it's a cancer or anything like that? And now a lot of that comes because of the misunderstanding and a lot of the history when it comes to HIV. A lot of people don't understand the disease. They don't understand the diagnosis. They don't understand that, yes, I am beautiful and I can live. They don't understand that maybe I was born with this. They don't understand maybe I was raped. Maybe I got a blood transfusion. They don't understand that. So what we do, we look at the outer appearance. That's what we do because we don't understand. And what we have to do, we have to show love. Love and kindness have I drawn thee. When I think about the word kindness, I think about empathy. Putting myself in someone else's shoes. How did that happen? Why are they feeling like this? Why are they going through this? Because see, a lot of times we don't like to understand other people's issues, other people's faults. That's the blessed thing about Jesus. Jesus is love. And the scriptures say love covers a whole multitude of sin, meaning faults, because we all have them. And then the scripture also said, y'all remember the woman that was caught in adultery? One without sin cast the first stone, and what they all had to do, put their stones down. That's why I love Jesus so much. That's why I love the word of God so much, because God is love. And then our church say, judge not. Judge not unless you be judged. How many of us like to be judged? No, none of us do, right? But we do it anyway. We judge anyway. We do that a lot. We judge anyway. But the blessing thing about Jesus, he's not a judgmental person. He always was the one that went with the outcasts, the ones that people did not want to love on, the ones that people had issues with. That's the blessing part about Jesus. And in my closing, share this quick story because my daughter came to me a month ago and she told me, Mom, I have something to tell you. I said, well, what, baby girl? Well, I'm kind of paraphrasing it, because I don't like to lie in the house of God. But then she said, hey, she came and she told me about her sexuality. And she felt like I was going to be judgmental because I decided to go straight, because I'm married to a man. Why should I judge you? I understand because I've been there. I understand that I am bisexual. I understand that. You understand what I'm saying? But the blessing part of God that he's love. He's love. When it comes to HIV, people are so afraid and they're so fearful because they don't understand. They don't understand the history. They don't understand how did this person contracted it. Someone may be sitting here today. Yes, this is an all-loving church, and when I stepped into this place, Pastor DeLove, I felt so free. I feel a spirit of freedom in this place. And God be the glory. But people don't understand how to love. They don't understand because you were diagnosed with this, I can still love you. I can still love you even though you're positive and I'm not. I can still love you because there's treatment out there. There's PrEP out there. My husband is not positive, but I am positive. So they recommend him to get on PrEP, which is a medication that can cause to keep him not being positive. There's a new campaign, U equals U. Undetectable means untransmittable. Because you're on that medication, you take your regimen the way that the doctor tells you to take your regimen, then now your viral load is low. Now you're at a low place where you cannot transmit the virus. So we're getting to a place where we're ending this thing. So as we get into a place to end the epidemic of HIV, we have to get to a place where we end the stigma of HIV. God be the glory.